Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Windows Deployment Services to sysprep and capture an image and then to upload that image to the WDS server. So this video assumes you've already installed the Windows Deployment Services role along with DNS and DHCP. As you can see here on the right hand side, I have a server called Server 2012 that's running as a Hyper-V client on my computer here. I also have to the left of that a virtual computer. Now ignore the virtual machine with Windows 8 on it for now, just 8 Professional. This is going to be used as our guinea pig computer to sysprep, shut down, pixie boot, upload and capture that image and send back to the server. So with the assumption that you've already installed the WDS role on your chosen server with the required DNS and DHCP roles and configured them correctly, you'd then go ahead and modify your response settings. So you'd right click on your server here and properties and pixie response. Now as default it says here do not respond to any computers, any clients trying to pixie boot. You want to select that as to respond to only known client computers from Active Directory or respond to all clients with administrator approval. I have it set as respond to all clients known and unknown. Click OK. Done. That's all you should need to do for now. Okay. The next thing you need to do is to insert a relevant Windows media to your server. So I'm going to be deploying Windows 8 as you can see on the left here in this video. So I have mounted on my desktop of the server. In fact, I've actually attached it as an image rather to my server. A Windows 8.1 64-bit ISO. As you can see, I've mounted it here. So you go into there and sources folder, and you'll find in there a file called bootwim. So select your bootwim file, copy it off to the desktop or a relevant location, perhaps your Windows Deployment Services folder. In my case, that is here. So computer Windows Deployment Services folder, which it creates as you set it up correctly. Then you could perhaps place it in boot images here, which is where I would put it. So boot 64-bit images, and I would then put that in there. Okay, quite simple. You'd then go back to your Windows Deployment Services again, and you'd go to boot images, and I will delete this for 1 second because in fact you don't need to delete it if you copy and paste it into the relevant place. So if you put it into that boot folder in here, so WDS boot 64 images boot.wim, you can see it is there set up. The way I've been doing it is to right click, add boot image, and it would copy it in for you. So browse to that bootwim file on the desktop, open bootwim, call it what you want, set up, next. It'll then import it into that same folder we're just in. So as you can see, it's put it back in anyway, even though it's been deleted. There you go. Okay, once you've done that, the next thing to do is to right click on that and then to create a capture image. Now rename the image to capture or something relevant to that so you know what it is. So capture, location of file name, it wants to know where you'd like to save that capture image from the setup file. As you can see here, I've placed it on my desktop, but I would not recommend that. I would say go back to the same folder, WDS boot 64 images, place it in a safe place, put it in there. So just copy and paste the file name in there that you want it to be. It will then go ahead and create and extract that image from your setup bootwim from your installation media. Okay, simple so far, not too difficult. Okay, just wait for this to finish. Okay, and then you tick the box to say add it to the server. Okay, file location, next, capture, finish. So now you've extracted the files, you add that then to the boot list here under boot images, so finish. Okay, so setup and capture. So when you pixie boot in from any computer that you've set up ready, so in this case this virtual machine, so this is your computer that's in reception or whatever that you'd like to sysprep and make a copy of, because it's got all the software on that you want, and it's got the right product key, and it's got all the it's got Office on there, and you've got it set however you want it to be. You then go back to your Windows Deployment Services, and you need to go to Install Images and right click on that and say Add Image Group. So I'm going to call them Windows 8 images, because that's what this will be. Images for Windows 8. Okay. Now I've got a little group here where your images will go once you've uploaded and captured them, or captured and uploaded rather. So ignore the server for now. That side of things is done, believe it or not. Apart from one minor thing. Okay. So you might have to go to your vendor's website and grab a network driver for your reception computer, or whatever the computer is. Let's say it's a HP, a ProBook laptop or something. You go to the HP ProBook website, HP's website, grab the ProBook relevant driver for the network adapter for the Ethernet port, copy it to your server, right click on that, and you'd add a driver package, select it from a folder, so you just extract the downloaded files, browse to it, select it, import it, done. Okay. Second thing you'd do, because they'd be listed in the drivers group then, you'd see them in here. Second thing you'd need to do is then assign those drivers to your boot images, so that when you pixie boot your client computer, so your reception computer in this case, it knows what network drivers to use to be able to communicate with the server. Because you're not in Windows, remember, pre-execution environment is like a boot file as a middleman between your server and what's on your hard drive. Okay, so you'd right click on capture or setup, depending on, probably both, and add driver packages to image. Now they'll list in here, so you'd go next, you'd search for packages, they'll list here because obviously you've already imported them, click next, done. Okay, that'll take a few minutes, it'll import them. Do the same for both, so setup and capture, and then go ahead. Once you've done that, you are all set for now. Let's leave it at that and go back to the client computer. So we would then go, let's play pretend that this is a finished server, client computer rather, and you've gone and you've configured this exactly how you want it to be. It has the software that you want on it, it has the product key that you require for your domain, your key management server installed, etc. Has, I don't know, Adobe, Office, Java, anything you'd like on it. You want to sysprep it and then shut the machine down so you can capture it. Now sysprep strips the computer from any sort of details or information unique to it. So ironically a product key, ironically computer name, ironically accounts, things like that. This is where Microsoft Deployment Toolkit would come in, and you'd actually make a task list for that, but that's another video that I'll make later on. So we'd then go to Windows on the C drive and go to System 32, and in here you have a folder called sysprep, SYSPREP. You'd go in there and you have a little sysprep executable here. Run that, and this will strip the computer of any information that you've made unique to it and shut the machine down afterwards. Okay. Now this takes a bit of time, and you don't want to touch the machine at all, not even to look at the hard drive, to launch the internet. You don't want to do anything like that while it's doing this, as it will mess it up, or it can mess it up potentially. In my opinion, it has in the past, and it actually messes it up completely. So just go ahead and wait for that. Okay, and then the machine will shut down as you've requested it to afterwards. What you now need to do, now the machine has been stripped of any information and sort of in a way packaged up, is to Pixie boot your computer. So don't turn your computer back on again and let it boot into Windows, okay? You've got to remember this. You need to go into your pre-execution environment now, so Pixie boot, which is your boot image here, which will be capture now. Okay, so you need to press F12 on your keyboard. On my server here, I've had it set so that the machine doesn't require F12 to boot into Pixie boot, and the primary boot device is the Pixie boot anyway, so it will just do that. So if I start this up, you'll see that my virtual machine, let's pretend this is a real computer now, guys. So we've just turned it on, pressed F12, it's found its IP address because you've configured DNS and DHCP correctly. It'll boot into this pre-execution environment from capture here. It will see them listed. Just ignore those two, it's because I've imported them twice by mistake in this video. Either of them are fine, you only have one obviously. Select it, yeah, you can see at the bottom here, see it says 2 in brackets because it's it's a copy of the copy, because I've imported it twice by mistake. That's my fault. Okay, so now you're booting into this 1.3 gigabyte sort of scratch space here with files on it. And what we can do now is use the deployment and capture wizard to capture this image that we've just sysprepped and shut down. So you'd go to next here, and rather than C, it will be D, because C is taken by system reserved, hidden on the drive. Now we call it, this is where you need to call it something relevant to what the computer is. So in this case I'd call it something like image name office computers. Okay, because obviously it's relevant to where it's going. Office computers. Image description, office computer, image. Okay, nice and simple. Next. Now tell it where to save it to on the hard drive locally as well as a backup. So this computer, C drive, or D drive rather. Yeah, system reserved C, see? So D. Tell it where to save to. It will create a WIM file. So office computers .wim it will be called. Save. Now that's going to save it just to the D drive at the moment, so C as the Windows drive. So in theory, after that completed, you could then boot the computer back up, put a computer name back in, and then copy and paste that WIM file from C drive, which it will be the C drive when you boot back up, and copy and paste it to your server, and then import it as a boot image in Windows 8 Images. Or you can do it an easy way: upload image to the deployment server, server name, server 2012, connect to it, and ask for domain authentication now. Okay, so contoso / administrator, or whatever your administrator credentials are. Could be supervisor. See, and there we go, we've connected and authenticated. Now the image group name, now remember earlier we made Windows 8 images, didn't we, up here? And that's why, because without an image group it doesn't know where to go. Next. Simple as that. That image we've just had on this virtual machine, Windows 8 8.1, will now be uploading to a WIM file on the server here. It'll create that first and then upload it, so it will save it to the hard drive so you can't lose it, and then it will send it over the Ethernet afterwards to your server, and we'll notice that will appear in here. WDS images, Windows 8 images. When it's uploaded it'll be in here. We'll then see it in Windows 8 images, and then we can use, rather than the capture from Pixie boot, we can use setup and then select our image, which we'll go through in a minute, to reinstall multiple computers at once. Obviously at this stage you still need to put in certain things, e.g. a computer's name, account name, product keys, things like that, because this is just a simple Windows Deployment Services tutorial. Microsoft Deployment Toolkit goes along with Windows Deployment Services, and you can customize the task sequence so that you don't have to put a product key in, it does it automatically. Now remember, Windows Deployment Services does have an auto-unattend.xml file that you can change yourself, but at the same time you don't know what your computer's name is going to be, but you could use it just to put the product keys in, I suppose. Okay, so now it's finished capturing that image. It's uploading it to the WDS server. So in Windows 8 Images, you will see it appear in there in a second. Once it's finished sending it from one to another. Okay, so it's quite a long process, the capturing stage, but uploading should be pretty quick if you're on a sort of 100 meg connection or a gigabit connection. It shouldn't be too bad. Okay, as you can see, it's sending it now. 97%. Hope you followed through so far. You have to drop me a message if you have any questions, and I'll try and help you out as best I can. Okay, so the install image was created successfully. Click finish on that. Now your computer's just going to boot up like it normally would, so I'm going to get it to Pixie boot back into pre-execution environment again now. Okay, and rather than capturing an image I want to set up, but I'm going to wait a second, go back to the server and see why this hasn't appeared in here. Add an install image, browse. Okay, as you can see, so it's gone into Windows Deployment Services images, and then Windows 8 images, and then officecomputers.wim. Open. Next, I want to import that in. Finish. And there it is. I'm just going to refresh this. Go back in. Install images, Windows 8, and yeah, just delete that then because there's already one in there. Okay, and there we go. Now we're going to try and re-download that image and copy and install that onto this computer again to test it. So rather than capturing, I'm going to set up simples. Always takes a bit of time to do this and get it working correctly, but you have to bear with me. I'm just refreshing my memory myself. I set it up like 4 years ago and just can't remember, so just going through it now. Because we use Windows Deployment Services and Microsoft Deployment Toolkit together rather than just one on its own, so I'm just going through it now to work out how I did it. Okay, so authenticate again. Contoso /administrator. Just my domain administrator account. Log on, authenticate with it. As you can see, officecomputers.wim is there, as on the server. There it is, office computers. All comes together now, you see. Next. Ask us where we want to install it to. I want to install it to the hard drive, so I'm just going to delete the two that are there, or the one that's there. Format it, install it, click next. Okay. And it's a waiting game now. It usually takes sort of 15 minutes or so, maybe less if you're on an SSD like on this computer. I've got two Vertex 4s in RAID 0, so it should be pretty fast. Copying images across the network. Well, virtual network, SSDs. I mean, it really is as simple as that. I mean, the virtual machine's just rebooting several times now, as it does normally, and compresses the files, takes the files out of the image and sort of installs them where it needs to. You know, starts the services, installs the devices for the laptop or whatever, the computer. You can see how fast the solid state drive is, pretty quick. It's not been sped up at all because I'm recording at the same time with my voice, so it's all real time. So yeah, quite simple. Just cancel that by keystroke. And in theory now it'll ask us for a computer name. Yep, so region and language, so kingdom. Yeah, set the time zone. So this isn't a bad way of imaging if you've only got sort of 20-30 computers. My sort of employment where I work, we've got over 1,000, so, and they're different types. So we have to do it a little bit easier than this. Automate most of this process. I'm just going to go through this quickly and just turn off automatic updates because I can't stand it running in the background without my permission. I won't be able to get out of the internet anyway. Make a local account, just call it Jake. No password. I'm a good technician. Cough. Just escape that. Okay, and that's theoretically it. That's a deployed computer. So that would be a laptop or a desktop PC. Booting it for the first time, logging in. Obviously not joined to the domain or anything, but it's a start. And some people prefer to use Windows Deployment Services, some people prefer to use Microsoft Deployment Toolkit. In fact, it has joined us to the domain, which is a really nice feature actually. So okay, just log that in. Okay, log on as that local account. I haven't got any domain accounts yet apart from domain administrator, so I can't be asked to type that in. But it's a simple case of just adding the images to the boot group, and that's it. The same applies for Windows 7 as well. So you just basically create a Windows 7 group by new group, Windows 7, create a Windows 7 computer, set it up how you want, just prep, shut down, pixie boot it, upload it, copy it to the Windows 7 image folder, and deploy it. Simple as that. As you can see, it's just installing apps that were installed before. Almost there. There we go. And it's back to how it was when we first sysprepped and shut the machine down. Awesome. Well, I'm Jake Billing. Thanks for watching this, and apologies for the shit audio over the top of this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it helps you out, guys. And if I can help you out, send me a message and I'll see what I can do for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.